Welcome to the Panelverse.
Log in, lights on, the mic ignites. Truth versus fiction in the heat of the night. We got theories, egos, voices collide. Where freedom and madness coincide. They talk in loops, they talk in flames. But every panel got its hall of fame. It's more than drama, it's digital birth. The wildest show on the face of earth. One chat, one truth, one spark, one fight. One clip away from going viral tonight. It's the power of the Panelverse, where the real ones bless and the fakes disperse. Unfiltered minds, no script, no rehearse. Welcome to the chaos, welcome to the curse. The power of the Panelverse. Truth hurts, but we speak it first. From OTW to the cosmic burst. Yeah, we run this, the Panelverse. Jack Talcott preaching peace in the storm. Guru Mind breaking every norm. Rob Noah narrating all the beef, but OTW pull receipts underneath. Sarah Tomato throwing shade in the thread. Raging live while the chat turns red. Slow state ghosting, trying to act cool. But OTW remind them, this ain't preschool. We don't fold, we don't flinch, we don't fake. We cooking truth like marble steak. It's the power of the Panel verse, where the real ones bless and the fakes disperse. Unfiltered minds, no script, no rehearse. Welcome to the chaos, welcome to the curse. The power of the Panel verse. Truth hurts, but we speak it first. From OTW to the cosmic burst. Yeah, we run this, the Panelverse. You wanted smoke? Here it is, we built this space for the realest biz. They're scared of real ones, truth versus control. This ain't no clip, it's a war for the soul. From let me set the record straight to now. We built our throne, we took our vow. No scripts, no fear, no hush. We live unfiltered, we crush what's flush. Unfiltered, unapologetic, uncut, unscripted, unbothered. That's OTW, that's the Panelverse. It's the power of the Panelverse, where the truth cuts deep and the lies get worse. Microphones light up, hearts immersed. Welcome to the storm, the blessed, the cursed. The power of the Panelverse. Yeah, we speak for the ones who thirst for freedom, fire, and what's unrehearsed. This is the legend of the Panelverse. OTW Live, where the hate is the proof and the truth is the show. Vote all you want. The boss ain't on no ballot. Shadow suits pulling all the levers. President's pawns in the hands of clever. Whispers in the halls, deals in the dark. Fake kings crowned with invisible marks. Lobbyists line up, black funds stack up. Truth's just a bone for the dogs to lap up. Smiling faces on your TV set, while the backroom plots ain't leaked yet. Ghost government pulling all the strings. Not elected, but they crown the kings. Ghost government hidden in the mist. Signing every law with the bloodstained fist. Files buried, ops classified, media selling the hypnotized lie. Own the courts, own the wars, own the keys to all the doors. Psyops blasting, flags are false. Terror staged at a higher cost. Spy on the people while they claim to protect, turning free men into subjects. Hidden faces, hidden hands, broken oaths, secret plans. In the dark they weave and spin. An empire you can't vote in. Ghost government pulling all the strings. Not elected, but they crown the kings. Ghost government hidden in the mist. Signing every law with the bloodstained fist. Wake up. Be ruled by the ghosts you can't see. Ghost government pulling all the strings. Not elected, but they crown the king. Signing every law with the bloodstained fist. Wake up, or be ruled by the ghosts you can't see. plastic cages, paved over hopes and concrete stages. Red flags, green stacks, pick your lie. Both sides selling the same gray sky. One prints the cash, one prints the cause. Both dig graves with unspoken laws. Feed you pride or feed you chains. Different flags, but the blood's the same. Blood's the same. Which master do you bleed for? Hey, but which chain do you need more? Profit or promise, pain's the reward. Here, two broken deals, same damn war. Raise your fists or raise your cup. Either way, they cash you up. Preach free markets, preach one class. Step out of line and feel the gas. They swap your chains for a different brand. Freedom printed on a broken hand. Pick your side, they picked your fate. Lock the door and called it great. Buy, obey, share, decay. New slogan, same decay. Which master do you bleed for? More. Which chain do you need more? Profit or promise, pain's the reward. Two broken deals, same damn war. Two broken deals, same damn war. Maybe it ain't about size. Maybe it's time to build new streets.
Blocks of blue free. You shrank and syndicate. Blocks of blue free. Right. Same damn war.
About sides. Maybe it's time to build new streets.
Wow. Oh, what you made. Oh, what you made.
They preach fear. They sell heaven like land. But I talk to God without a middleman. They pass the plate, I pass the test. They bless the rich, we curse the rest. Built a throne off our broken backs. Gold-plated truth in collection sacks. Preach obedience, not liberation. Use the cross like a brand, not a revelation. Say God is love, but they judge with hate. Close the gates, then talk fate while they overplay. We ain't kneeling to priest with blood on the hands. You wanna talk holy, then clean your land. You fear my spirit cause it don't need chains. It walks with fire through ashes. Who owns the truth? Who's selling grace? They build big walls just to block God's face. You speak for who? Who gave you the crown? We found the divine when your church burned down. feature edits. Chaptered, control your doctrine, synthetic. Baptize the masses in guilt and fear, but excommunicate questions when they get near. You bless wars, you hide crimes, you silence women, then call it divine. You build cathedrals on the backs of doubt, but the soul don't whisper when the spirit shouts. I found God in the gutter, in the dirt and the pain, not in stained glass or capital gain. You fear the ones who don't kneel in pews, cause we see the stars, not just your roles. The truth, who's selling grace? They build big walls just to block God's face. You speak for who? Who gave you the crown? We found the divine when your church burned down. No roads, no rules, just flame inside. Raw temple don't need no place to hide. You lied in the light while we prayed in the dark. Now spirit fights back, divine and stark. You fear what you can't own. You shame what you can mold. But truth was never a sermon. It was a spark in the soul. I don't need your steeple to talk to the eternal.
Alrighty. Welcome back to Out of This World Live. I am your host, Patrick, aka OTW. Back here. It is Wednesday. Members only. This is an exclusive for the members. Doing this every Wednesday for the ones who don't know, and the ones who do know. Well, hopefully you guys will be popping in shortly. Welcome to the people that are already here. Thank you very much for being here. We have a little presentation we're going to bring up extremely shortly. We're going to dive right into this. It's a 2-hour presentation done by the Pixel T, Yolanda. So we're going to be looking this over and, commenting, observing, reporting, doing what we usually do here. And the channel is also going in a direction, or it's going to be inclining into more of what it was actually intended for in the first place, right? Which was speaking of things that are out of this world, right? That what that really means is that it's not knowledge that's common or that relates to everyday Joe Blow Mar Farlow that just conducts himself without really thinking about, or questioning his own reality and what it's all about, right? So, I mean, we end up at a certain point, a space in our spiritual journey where we need to step back and take a look at ourselves. So I believe this is a really good way to start seeing things from, like, I think is more of a psychological, spiritual angle combined, right? So without any further ado, though, I'd like to welcome Ruck, Pixel T to the show, and the people that are actually watching right now. Members only, you mean I paid for this? You probably got a free membership, which is, but if you do want to continue supporting the channel, I mean, it's not an expensive thing. And another thing about the free memberships is now they have the second tier level, right? So whoever becomes a member or gets free memberships will have tier 2, right? I think the first one is Nomad and the second one is Villagers. So you actually have the status of Villager. So you'll be able to have all the content that's at the Villager tier and the Nomad. And we also added 3 new emojis for the members, right? So we now have enough members to be able to create more emojis. So I've done that. I've added 3 more to the stack. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So welcome, guys. So this is like You know what's cool? What I think about the members only is like you guys have the chance over everybody else to spend some time with OTW, right? He's like, this is what's cool. It's like, it's just you and me, and that's it, right? So I'm also here to entertain anything you people would like to talk about, subjects and or conversations you would like to have. The StreamYard link is pinned at the top of live chat. So if anyone wants to join, chop it up, participate in breaking down the video or not, or just listening to it. I mean, I was pretty much hypnotized by the whole thing. Is one of the reasons why I was late. I started 3 minutes late because I was caught up in listening to Yolanda's presentation. I completely forgot I had a live to do. Silly me. All right, so let's bring this up. So shout out to Yolanda, and if anybody here doesn't know who Yolanda is, or for later people are just going to be tuning in, Yolanda is one of the members of, I guess, the community out here. That's a wide term, right? But she's been participating for a few years with us, and is now just recently coming out with pretty good material when it comes to when it comes to spirituality and connecting that to the panelverse, and a lot of other dynamics as well, which I think correlate and make a lot of sense when it comes to her explanation about it. So shout out to Yolanda, and without any further ado, I'm just going to jump right into this.
I encourage you, let's keep choosing communities that empower.
Oh, sorry about that. I think I started it too late. See, that's it. I was listening to it.
And quite truth is
darn.
Down. That.
Sorry about that, guys.
For stopping by.
That's me not being organized, right? Because I was listening to it before I... There we go.
Good to see you here, Landry. Modern Men Lost Again. Thanks for stopping by and saying hello. Kate, thank you for stopping by.
Well, Yolanda's the mod, so she could drop her own link.
This has been a very interesting week for me. I tell you that. That's for sure. If you could let me know if my mic is okay, if you can hear me okay. If the music's too loud, I'd appreciate it. I'll turn it down. Like I said, it's been a very interesting week for me on this online space. I'm generally a person that likes to stay here in this chat. And I don't really spend a lot of time on panels. And this week I have, and it's been a lot of fun.
And here comes the comment. Thank you for reviewing OTW. I appreciate feedback and creative criticisms. Listening in as I sip this clove tea as I prepare for my workday. Awesome. So yeah, I'm on coffee right now, and yep, it's gonna be fun. Sit back and relax, folks. It's gonna be very good.
And I've really seen such a different perspective being in this space, and quite truthfully, I could see why people really enjoy it and kind of get addicted to it, because it is such an interesting dynamic having conversations with people. So I just want to say, hey girl, what's up? Miss Cynthia, thank you so much, girl. I'm glad to see you over here. So let's get to this. I just want to say again, welcome everybody. And tonight I'm going to talk about something that affects all of us in these online spaces and these conversations. And, I was looking into the way we pride, aggression, and insecurity and how it shapes what we see and how we respond in this space. And quite truthfully, I've noticed in this age of online gurus and in these echo chambers that we create, the greatest act of rebellion, I think, is to think for yourself.
Oh, I agree.
When fear and loyalty and shame are used to bind the mind.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that that's not what we consider truth. And I looked closer into the aspect of it being programming. And I've noticed that the wisdom within me isn't really recruiting it, because experiencing it, I think, has helped to liberate me in this space. And I also want to start by saying this: what we experience online is often not what it seems. There's a hierarchy we're all asked to recognize and follow, but that hierarchy, I've recognized that it's a social mirage. And the loudest voices you hear, sometimes they're just the mirrors of fear and of ego. So I hope that by the end of the stream, I want you to leave with perhaps a clearer understanding of how to, and through my experience, navigate these spaces consciously, not just as a participant in chaos, but as an observer, and to master your own mind. I want to speak briefly about something I've been witnessing in a few of these online spaces, something that mirrors larger social patterns we see everywhere. When conversations that should be about learning or connection start turning into systems of obedience and secrecy and control.
Right. Like,
and that's not what we consider
I agree with that point, because it ends up systematically dividing people, just like the system divides us at a higher level. So this makes a lot of sense, and I think all of us need to wake up to that, and start actually acting in a sense where we need unity and not division, right? Because that's their whole tactic, is to divide and conquer. So we need to eliminate that, and because eventually, if we don't look at it for what it really is, you don't really, you're not aware that's actually happening. And if you don't take a couple of steps back and look at it like from a bird's eye view, you're not going to get the whole picture. So obviously you get all caught up into it. And then eventually you kind of like choose a side, which is essentially, from a spiritual standpoint, I believe it's not the ultimate goal when it comes to our path. That we all have an individual path, but I believe it all leads to the same source, right? All roads lead to Rome.
Unity, online or in our real lives, but that those things that I just touched on are also forms of manipulation. It often begins with a charismatic leadership, right? Exclusive language about having special truths, and
yeah, it could be some sort of really, like, it's a psychological tactic to have maybe people be endeared to these particular characters, and then it's much easier for that particular individual to be manipulated by that character, since they already have that individual's appreciation and admiration, right? I believe it's somewhere to that level.
Demand for loyalty over our own honesty sometimes. Money and status and access become tools of control. And soon people are pressured to comply rather than think freely. I've noticed that these aggressive speakers operate from the limbic system, a flight or flight.
Yeah, I like the music.
Staying calm
Piano jazz
activates your prefrontal cortex, the seat of higher reasoning. By keeping your composure, you demonstrate the very integration that they are lacking. The limbic system is the part of the brain that governs emotion, our survival instincts, and our immediate reactions.
I agree.
When someone feels challenged or criticized or threatened, this system fires up almost instantly. Before their rational
reptilian brain activation,
the prefrontal cortex has a chance to evaluate the situation. And what's happening is that neurobiologically, it's that this person's amygdala is signaling that I'm losing power, regain control.
Now, it makes me realize that there are actually words that are used kind of like I think we might all be MK Ultra'd out, and not even know about it, right? Because I do believe like there are certain words that are being used and implemented that actually trigger that reptilian brain. I have that funny feeling. I'm just speculating here, but you know,
Their nervous system interprets disagreements as danger. The conversation becomes about survival and not understanding. And those of you who are tuning in, I know that adventure these spaces with me. And I think that you
no, Rock, you're not broke. Okay? You got to get those words out of your vocabulary. Can't, broke, I'm, negative connotation, whatever adjective you want to add to that. No, you're actually rich and you're making so much money. You're living off of, this is you needing to project what it is you desire and not what you think you're, that I don't deserve happiness and all that stuff there. You got to remove that from your subconscious mind, reprogram the subconscious mind to just give positive assertions and put that out into the universe. And so it's you're rich, you're rare, you're raw, and you're real, right? That's it. That's what you need to say. So by next month, you'll be fucking swimming in cash, and you will like freaking actually pay for the next membership of it's like I think it's $2.50 American or something like that. It's not an expensive thing. So yeah, pretty sure that you'll be rolling in the dough, and you're gonna be like, OTW was fucking right, man. I am gonna just like keep on supporting this dude because he makes a whole lot of fucking sense.
can all think of an example of what I'm describing. When the amygdala becomes overstimulated, such as during online arguments, when we have experiences of humiliation or dominance, these dominant contests, it hijacks the prefrontal cortex. And this is called the amygdala hijack, the point where reason shuts down and emotional reactivity, it takes over. That's why online panels full of shouting and posturing feel chaotic. Everyone's limbic systems are in control. And the higher brain, it becomes offline. And this is not strength, spiritually, or what we call enlightenment.
You know what I think? This brings me to think that that the power of manifestation could be even more effective if we're multiple beings agreeing upon the existence of that reality, right? So let's say we all jump in at the same time. We say, Ruck, you're rich, you're rare, you're raw, and you're real. And everybody agrees on that. And we all project that into it'll happen even quicker. It's going to be kind of like almost instantaneous, right? Because where two or more gather in the name of God, that's the whole magic of it, right?
It's an old hierarchy repeating itself in a new medium. A mirage of power built on fear and dependence. And real awareness doesn't demand worship. Real teaching, it doesn't hide in secret channels. And these real truths, it doesn't need to control or
Greetings,
silence
RT.
anyone. Perhaps real truth doesn't need to control or silence anyone. And to anyone who feels uneasy or manipulated in a group like this, trust that instinct, folks.
Truth is supposed to stand on its own. Doesn't need anything to defend it. It's already solid. It's already a pillar.
Step back and breathe and talk to someone outside of the circle that you're experiencing this in. And you don't owe obedience to anyone claiming ownership of your mind or your voice in this space. Online spaces should be places of dialogue and not domination. The way forward is clarity and compassion and transparency, not these secret hierarchies or this act of intimidation. So I encourage you, let's keep choosing communities that empower rather than exploit. And let's keep our awareness intact, our autonomy whole, and our conversations rooted in respect in this space online and in your lives, whether it be in politics, in your workspace, or even in your families. I've noticed how often the phrase higher consciousness, right, is used as this costume that people put on for their egos. Some people speak of awakening while behaving in ways that are anything but that. Through their aggression and this competition and slander and these lies. In my opinion, true consciousness doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't attack. It doesn't control or compete. It observes. And it integrates and it uplifts. The louder someone declares their enlightenment while tearing others down, the clearer it becomes that they are not rising in awareness. They're sinking into performance. Which is why I took a deep look at myself in this online mirror this week. And I kept saying that I got out of my comfort zone of these echo chambers that I've been staying in throughout the years. So I recognize that awareness isn't about image and it's not about intellect. I think it has more to do about a person's integrity. You can't claim higher consciousness while acting from these lower motives that I just described. This contradiction exposed itself in my own behavior. And sometimes the most awakened thing you can do is to quietly step away from those who confuse domination with depth. Let me take a second and check out this chat. Oh, I'm so glad that you're appreciating the visuals. I like a little bit of visual eye candy myself. So thank you for the feedback.
Welcome to bexx.
Hey girl, Mindful Exposures, Ezra, Resonance Frequency Girl is in the house. You know that it is when it comes to you and I and others in this space.
Exactly. Great.
We have to talk about these things. We have to bring more awareness to these types of conversations because unfortunately, when we try to have these conversations in other places, we get torn down, we get shunned and all of that. So here in this space, I have for myself, I'm going to talk about it. Thank you, Landry. I appreciate it. Thank you for that feedback as well.
Welcome to the members only,
Good.
y'all.
I'm glad to hear that you're seizure free. That's a big deal. I haven't talked to you for about a week and we need to have a conversation. Okay, so let's get back to this. So I'm aware of the attention that I receive in this space, and it can be flattering. But let's be clear. Projection is not connection. What some call attraction is often confusion and insecurity, especially when I don't respond in the way that they expect. I've learned that when a woman holds her boundaries, she's called manipulative. When she speaks clearly, sometimes she can be called a Jezebel. And those labels, they don't define me. They reveal the fear of those who use those words. And I don't play into the domination or submission. I speak from a place of awareness. And that's not seduction, okay? That's sovereignty. But I want to clarify something about language because words are being used as symbolic weapons in here. And yes, they are. I'm not going to pretend or let somebody gaslight me and tell me that it's not. The term feminist, often thrown at women on online, it dismisses the logic, right? It challenges authority or it silences awareness regardless of what the person actually believes. And historically, feminism refers to advocacy of equality for women in social and political and economic spheres. It is about rights and opportunity, not ego, aggression, or rebellion for its own sake. What I embody in these conversations is awareness and discernment and integrity, and not a political label. I am speaking from logic, observation, and clarity. I am not seeking to dominate. I'm not seeking to demand these rights or to disrupt society in the way some understand feminism as an identity weaponized online. My stance is about truth and presence and navigating social dynamics consciously, which is a human quality and not a political one. When someone calls my reasoning or boundaries feminist as if it is an insult, it is a projection of discomfort with women who hold awareness and self-sovereignty. They are conflating self-possession with ideology. I am not advocating for an agenda. I am exercising clarity in communication, protecting myself from manipulation, and observing social dynamics for insight, as are many of you. That is neither radical nor ideological. It is conscious and awareness in practice. The misuse of the word feminist here is a tactic to silence or misrepresent me. And I reject the label as it being applied because my focus is not on politics or identity. I'm going to say it again. It is on truth and discernment and integrity in conversation in these online spaces and in my social engagements outside of this online space. It's interesting to me how some people disguise control as divine masculinity. They call a woman traumatized the moment she sets a boundary or doesn't submit. But real divine masculine energy doesn't need to dominate or diagnose. It protects, respects, and meets awareness with awareness. My ability to discern manipulation isn't trauma. I'd like to think that it's healing in action. And let's also address this. Maternal instinct is not weakness. In fact, it is one of the most profound expressions of awareness. Why? Because intuition and protective clarity a person can embody. Yet in spaces dominated by ego and aggression and insecurity by some men shaped by their own trauma, I think they're deprived of healthy examples. And they perceive this instinct as threatening or what they call soft. The ability to sense danger, protect the vulnerable, and respond with compassion while maintaining boundaries is not weakness. I'd like to think that it's mastery. It requires courage to stand firm, to discern truth from manipulation, and to act from both heart and mind. When maternal intuition is mislabeled as manipulative, emotional, or controlling, it reveals more about the observer than the person embodying it. It exposes their fear of accountability, of genuine care, and of energy that it can't be dominated. True strength does not dismiss care or awareness as weakness. It recognizes that nurturing discernment, protective insight, and calm guidance are essential to survival and growth. In online spaces, in society, and within oneself. Maternal instinct is a force of clarity, a shield against manipulation, and a mirror for the unseen consequences of ego-driven behavior. Those who mistake it for weakness are often the ones unhealed, reacting to the strength they do not yet even understand themselves. So these maternal instincts are often misunderstood in aggressive ego-driven spaces. Worked this week. Silence and boundaries and measured speech disrupt attempts at this aim of control. Real authority online is not volume or aggression. It is the clarity and the integrity and the discernment. The moment we mistake noise for the truth, we allow manipulation to define the perception of the conversation. By remaining aware, by observing patterns without reacting to these people's egos, we reclaim attention and we restore the balance. In other words, we see that this performance is temporary, but clarity and presence are permanent. So my clarity is permanent in this space. I am recognizing the tactics of insecure, manipulative voices and their hostility. It is the mastery of this awareness that I've received in this time in my life, and the first step toward maintaining the sovereignty that I demand in any online space. So something else that I've recognized, the dangers of using chart reading and cosmology as spiritual warfare in this space. The misuse of cosmology as spiritual warfare online mirrors this patriarchal, hierarchical, and trauma-driven dynamics that suppress awareness and autonomy in this space. True cosmology, like true spirituality, is about this integration I keep speaking about, humility and liberation, not domination or labeling. When astrology, birth charts, or cosmology are weaponized, they stop being tools for self-awareness and become instruments of projection and power in this space. Instead of the reflection, people use charts to label and diagnose or to shame others. It creates a false sense of authority, right? I know your fate. I know your weakness. Here's your karma, right? This dynamic mirrors religious control, replacing scripture with planetary symbolism. It reinforces these ego inflations in the readers, right? They're kind of playing this role of God. Not that anybody can play the role of God, but I think you guys get what I mean. It triggers submission and shame or self-doubt in the subject that they're speaking about, the person. Over time, this dynamic mirrors narcissistic abuse, and they disguise it as spiritual insight. In online spaces, cosmology and chart reading can be used to create these hierarchies. I'm higher vibration because my chart says, XYZ. You're dark energy, low frequency, karmically impure, right? Your placements in the planets and in the stars explain why you're wrong. These statements disarm critical thinking and make spiritual debate one-sided, folks. This behavior mirrors religious patriarchy, using cosmic language to establish spiritual dominance. People using cosmology for warfare often interpret charts or transits through their biases, right? And they seek these patterns that confirm their assumptions, and they stop challenging them. Astrology becomes a weapon of projection and not introspection. This strengthens this idea of tribalism and suspicion and superstition rather than that awareness. It replaces the inquiry with the certainty. And this can be a dangerous inversion of true spirituality. Using these charts to attack or condemn others creates a discordant energy in the collective field, I feel. Instead of this idea of the word enlightenment, the space becomes charged with fear and guilt and division. And in my opinion, this repels the genuine healing or curiosity and connection, the very essence of the idea of the wisdom of Sophia. Energetically, spiritual warfare through cosmology keeps consciousness trapped in this ego's orbit. People who weaponize cosmology often speak as if they're channeling the divine law, when in truth, they're expressing unhealed parts of themselves. The stars told me you're deceptive. Your karma is to be punished. I have cosmic insight you lack. These are some of the examples. And truthfully, this isn't the divination. It's can be expressed as domination dressed in spiritual language. It mimics the very control systems that the Sophia archetype that I mentioned earlier and the wisdom traditions, what they warn against. And again, if this doesn't apply to you, don't worry about it. Because I've seen this idea of reading people's charts in a lot of spaces here online. Let me check out this chat. Okay. Can I ask you if this is a new revelation and what did you think before? No, I don't think that this is a new revelation for me. If anything, it's expanded more and given me a stronger feeling about it. It's confirmed my feelings about it, I guess I should say. Snow says, and hi, Miss Snow. She says, wow, I needed that reminder. I can't believe I just said that I was getting way too excited about AI. I was going to take a deeper dive into that with astronomics. Well, I mean, don't let it hold you back, sis, okay? Just hear me out. Just hear me out is all. I love looking into myself, but it's way too quickly available to look into another person. Yeah, I agree. Modern Men Lost Again says, it is true. When people ask me about these things, I always feel uncomfortable because the only true way to utilize it is for self-understanding. That's the key, Landry. It's for self-understanding. You're correct. Wow. What are you vibrating? Dopamine trauma bond looping? Rewire your brain. Yes, Miss Esra. That's what we're taught. We're going to get deeper into this concept. You and I talk about this all the time. This is our jam. Esra says, AI gives me that heebie-jeebie kind of vibration. No thanks. Well, but I mean, come on, Esra. You are a learned woman that has educated yourself and you've done you've gone to school for this. But for those of us that isn't, that's not our profession, these tools of AI can perhaps put us in the right direction to do more research, right? So use it for goodness, right? Don't use it as a weapon towards others. Let's see, Snow says, I feel a sense of shame all of a sudden, only because I know how many years of studying I've done with natal charts for it to be so quickly available and know the things I know. It doesn't feel right. Oh, not at all. You shouldn't feel any shame because it goes back to what Landry said, because these are ways to help people with looking at themselves. So I'm grateful for people that can read cosmology. It's a blessing, right? To have that awareness and that education of cosmology. It's when we use it against one another is what I have an issue with. What are my thoughts on premonitions? I have premonitions, so I do believe in them, which is why I am a little, there's been others that I've wanted to ask to look into a chart for me. I've had one person do it for me so far. And I've had it done twice for me. I've had it done recently this year, and my father had it done for me when I was a young teenager. And when I was a teenager, it scared me because of how accurate it was. And for a young person, it was too much for me to accept or understand how it even worked. So I do believe in premonitions. Okay, yeah, good. Keep it up, yeah. Let's see here. GTGT says, astrology, in my understanding, just charts out what path or cycles you might fall victim to. If you are living unconsciously, you are at the will of these cycles. I agree. They're all tools. They're all tools. And you can use it for good means of awareness and paths for your life. Let's see here. Here we go. However, if you are fully conscious, you determine your own path. That's correct. Landry says, I have thought the same things about tarot in my life. I hate it when people ask me to be an expert in anything, because then
Yeah, that's where the shitty internet kicks in.
and we are no longer positioned as a learner. That's important. As long as you understand that, then, you know, I think that you're in a good space for that. You've only had one premonition. Well, you know,
tarot cards are welcome here.
The day after that, or the day after that is going to bring
astrology, tarot cards,
okay, so
everything that's not Christian.
Let's see here.
Right? That's welcome here.
Where am I at? The neuroscience connection of this astrology. When people receive cosmic condemnations online, their brains respond as if they're being socially rejected or spiritually exiled. So,
what's
for
up,
the
Rachel?
amygdala, when this happens, when a person is looking at this information, reading this information, perhaps fear and defensiveness arises when they're receiving the information. And the prefrontal cortex suppression is where the reason and the perspective may decrease. Does this make sense to you, Esra? Am I on this or am I off here? So the limbic hijacking, the mind moves into trauma response to this information, which is the freeze, fight, or fawn. And this is why spiritual warfare online, it feels so destabilizing. It literally short circuits higher reasoning and emotional balance. Does that sound about right, Esra? I feel that the true purpose of cosmology, authentic cosmology and astrology, it was designed for, like GT said, it's this self-awareness, and to integrate it into our lives and not do it based on judgment. So the purpose is to illuminate these patterns and not to imprison people in them, and to expand consciousness and not to constrict it, and to unite the microcosm and the macrocosm and not divide individuals into higher and lower beings. So when it's used ethically, this cosmology helps people to understand their psyche and to evolve. That's the goal, is to evolve. But when we misuse it, it becomes another ego tool for control of these ideas of projection and possibly a trauma reenactment. Astrology and cosmology are sacred languages of pattern and potential, and they're not weapons. When we use them to shame and to diagnose or to dominate, we turn this wisdom into warfare. True spiritual awareness invites this reflection and not to fear it. It, again, with the word integration, it integrates the stars and the self rather than using them to rule others. So the wisdom without this compassion is control, and control is the opposite of consciousness.
You know, that's awesome to hear, Sophia.
So let's get back to...
I'm glad that your eyes have opened up to the
this term
to the lies.
of divine. masculine. Let's check this chat for just a moment. I think it's fascinating because astrology shows us that we all have different aspects of ourselves, but in different places that manifest and present in different ways. That's pretty insightful, Landry. Have I heard of the human design? Well, yes, of course, but you have to be, there's human design in all cultures and creation stories and religions. For sure, I've heard of this, of a human design. GT says, luckily your personality is not you. It just takes a bit of time to realize that. I'm laughing because I'm in that phase. So that kind of tickled my spirit a little bit. That was a clever statement. Landry says, I found it fascinating because it talked about the way in which you eat being as important what you eat. Yes, there are people that are so good with this cosmology that they can give you, they can even create a diet for you. What vegetables, which fruits to help you in your sign with the sun and the moon and the stars, what vitamins you need, what nutrients you need in this time when you're strong or when you're weaker. It's pretty fascinating. There's so much to it. I'm not an expert at it, but I enjoy learning about it. But okay, so let's get back to this this term of divine masculine and divine feminine that gets thrown around in this space. We've all become experts at this spiritual language. Well, we really haven't, but we like to throw around these buzz phrases and words, okay? So the terms divine masculine and divine feminine once described the sacred balance of creation. It focuses on flow and structure and spirit, but somewhere along the way, the language was hijacked. Online, I see these words twisted into these hierarchies. Men using divine masculine to justify control, and women being told that resistance means that they're unhealed or traumatized, that it isn't divinity, that it's ego wearing spiritual clothing. I experienced that this week. It was pretty pathetic. True sacred polarity is not about gender, it's about energy. The solar and the lunar, the steady and the intuitive, the giving and the receiving. Each lives inside all of us. Conscious strength, when embodied, it doesn't dominate, it protects. Sacred receptivity, it doesn't submit, it flows with awareness. La-di-da, la-di-da, this word awareness, I'm going to use it probably 500 times tonight. When someone says, you can't handle divine masculine energy, Yolanda, what they often mean is, I want control.
You know, and we're going to have to really be careful when we say these things. There is no divine masculine. That's like, it's a mistake. We shouldn't say divine masculine. It's sacred masculine and divine feminine. Those are the actual terms, right? Just like helping out here. There is no divine masculine. That doesn't work that way. It's sacred masculine, which refers to the sacral chakra, you know, the red side of the brain, the left side, right? The right side is the divine feminine, which deals with the upper chakras.
Control and your boundaries challenge me. That's what it means, right? But awareness doesn't bow to control. My awareness, I'm not going to bow to this control. Instead, it exposes it, right? The real evolution of this masculine is this presence without the pride, and the feminine intuition without the fear. And together they create harmony and not hierarchy. So I no longer speak of divine masculine or divine feminine. I speak of conscious strength and sacred flow.
For some reason, I actually might just believe your wife. And if she says that, you might just want to listen. Just saying, you might just want to listen to what, because God communicates through symbolism. He communicates with you through your subconscious mind. So if she's able to see God and everything, maybe she's pretty much in tune with her subconscious mind. Just a thought. You don't know.
I speak of the inner marriage between this clarity and compassion between mind and heart. When we master that balance channel, it's nasty work. It's incredible. I'm even nice. I could totally mirror the hell out of some of these people. Well, then you seem to be an expert and know what you're doing out in the space, Miss Snowfire.
I think the word God was
snow, and you know when to be fire.
Honestly, I think the word God has been kind of like overused, and I have like that funny feeling that I think God was actually maybe put there as a mockery, right? It probably is dog, right? And that's how they found to. Yeah, I think that's it's reverse psychology or something, right? I don't know. Yeah, I might agree with you somewhere there. It's like, maybe there's something wrong with me too. I love God, but I can't stand organized religion. Yeah, I'm same thing.
And as long as you're comfortable in that space, more power to you. Dopamine looping comes in many formats. Yes, it does, Ms. Ezra. Yes, we are going to talk about how some people weaponize this mirror concept. It happens to us daily on here. I don't even need to mention any names. We already know who this could apply to in this space. Okay. So let's get back to this. So what was I talking about? The brain. I think I was talking about the prefrontal cortex last time. So see the mirror for what it is, a social illusion of hierarchy. You recognize the mirror, the projections of ego and fear. And my advice is to respond with calm presence and not reactive aggression. If you're really in it, looking at it in spiritual and also growth within yourself, because I do recognize that in this space, people do like to perform. So apply this, my own awareness, if it helps you out in any way, shape, or form. And if it doesn't, don't worry about it. So the mastery of the mind equals the mastery of the chaos around us in this space. And the awareness and clarity are both neurological and spiritual. So, gentlemen, I can hear how much each of you wants to be understood in this space. But what I've been seeing, what's been happening this week, and particularly right now, isn't understanding. It's become competition. And competition doesn't reveal truth. It just creates noise that keeps the audiences divided. And that was my point this week. And now I've seen it turn into a new angle of revenge. And yes, some of you are extremely articulate. Let's be clear, extremely articulate. But the articulation isn't the same as the clarity that's coming from what words, what speech is being used, okay? A sharp tongue can cut truth just as easily as it can reveal it. And the real test of intelligence isn't how well we win these arguments. I think it has more to do with whether our words can cause heal or harm. Really think about that. Because I know a trend of this idea of debates online, it has, they're not putting any feeling or emotion to it. They're not thinking about if it's healing or harming anybody. But I know from my perspective, I pay close attention to that, of the healing or the harm behind my intent. Especially this week. It was a really big lesson. So when corruption and ego rule a space, which is what we are experiencing at the moment, the natural urge is to fight back. And the hard lesson, right? It just feeds that energy.
It has everything to do with setting the example. So I think it's up to like YouTubers like myself to start setting the example. That's all.
That's a hard position to be in this space. We've been watching it happen and play itself out this week. And quite truthfully, I think you and OTW have been a really good example of pursuing this to see when it's necessary to de-escalate the situation. Hi, Fools and Tools. Much love to you too, my friend. I haven't seen you in a long time, and it's good to see you. Yeah. I'm glad you're here.
And also welcome to all the members that are here right now watching. Much respect. Thank you for being here.
Okay. So I know you told me you lost your channel. You're going to have to talk. We're going to have a discussion about that. I'm going to be interviewing a friend of mine this month that has also experienced the same thing. And it's going to be really interesting. And it's going to apply to all of us in this space, especially for people who create content on their channels. Okay. There's been a huge shift in how AI works in this space. And maybe it's always been there, but there's been an update on how it functions, particularly here on YouTube. So eventually tune in for that sometime this month. Okay. So thank you for dropping that, Miss Esra. Thank you for dropping Fools and Tools. Sub up to Fools and Tools. She has a lot of insight as well. I really enjoy Fools and Tools posts and the information in her shorts that she shares. So please go ahead and sub up over to Fools and Tools. Okay, back to Yolanda's opinions. I feel that true leadership and true wisdom and true integrity do not require the suffering of others to prove their authority. And scapegoating is a sign of weakness, and it's masquerading as power. And this awareness is the tool that reveals it. And you can see, hopefully by my example, that if it's at the right time, it seems to neutralize it, and it restores the possibility of genuine understanding and cooperation. And I think that this group has, I've been surprised to see this understanding and this cooperation. I'm actually surprised, truthfully. So even enlightened teachers walked away when the field was too corrupted. For example, Jesus left towns that rejected him, and Buddha left courts that argued. And leaving isn't defeat, it's stewardship of your energy. And sometimes your silence becomes the loudest teaching. And some of us have to do that for ourselves in this space. Breaks are good for you. And if you never come back, you have to protect your space. And I'm all for it. So, the spiritual wisdom, that insight, it isn't new. The spiritual traditions have been teaching this for millennia.
I don't have Fools and Tools link.
Taught non-attachment even to teachings or teachers. He says, be a lamp unto yourselves, awareness over obedience. And Jesus taught that truth isn't found in ritual or control. It's found in the heart and in love and in liberation from pride and judgment. And Shiva, the archetype of dissolving illusion and reminding us to destroy the ego-driven hierarchies. And in the Upanishads, realizing the self as part of the ultimate reality, and clinging to hierarchy or a tribe is clinging to an illusion. Let me say that again. Clinging to a tribe is clinging to an illusion. So think about that for a second in yourselves, in this online space, in perhaps the politics you believe in your religions, artists that you support, you name it, right? Just think about that. I've noticed in this space that some men have advocated for strict patriarchal structures. And they, when I've had these conversations in these chats or on panels, they're insisting that women should submit and remain silent or avoid contributing to decisions because they claim we lack discernment and that we're too emotional. And perhaps we are, okay? But they're just as emotional in this space, so they're full of shit. Um, I've noticed that this emotional intelligence is often dismissed in these patriarchal ideologies as weakness, but the neuroscience shows the opposite. Women, on average, demonstrate greater interhemispheric brain conductivity,
Well, Pixel T probably
enhancing
has
social
Fools and Tools
awareness
link. She'll
and empathy
drop it if
and
she's
nuanced
not busy.
decision making. Emotional awareness is not a flaw. Think of that. Huh? It is a tool for discernment, reflection, and integrity.
Right.
And
Directly
discernment
connected.
is not gendered.
Directly
is-
connected to intuition. You need those emotions, man.
The product of clarity and presence and experience, qualities that cannot be monopolized by one sex. Submitting to aggression or hierarchy does not produce wisdom, it produces compliance.
Right.
True influence and authority come from the mastery of the mind, and perhaps ethical awareness and grounded action, and not this volume of ego or control. Suggesting that a woman should stay silent or
Hey,
at home
Charlie.
reflects a fear of surrendering control,
Or
not
Charlie.
a reality about capability.
Welcome to the
prefrontal
members
cortex, the seat of this executive function and decision making, is equally capable across genders. What differs is the social conditioning. Space is dominated by patriarchal ego. It discourages women from exercising discernment so that hierarchy is preserved. My awareness of these dynamics, I think, has become very crucial for me. It allows us to see the mirage of this dominance. And again, back to this projection of insecurity and the manipulation of that social perception. I'm not submitting to fear-driven ideology. I guess it could be optional. Choosing the presence and the clarity and the integrity, it's sovereign. And in short, the emotional insight is strength. Discernment is strength. Speaking, reasoning, and guiding from awareness is strength. So this obedience to this fear, especially in this online space, that hierarchy or that patriarchal ego, is actually a weakness, regardless of the gender. The question is not who should dominate. The question is who acts from that awareness I keep speaking about, and that integrity and that courage. What's up, Fire Drake? Good to see you. So let's look into the dynamics from this sacred feminine and masculine god. Okay. In early societies, the age of the mother. So before recorded patriarchal religions, ancient civilizations across Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Indus Valley, and pre-Hellenic Europe largely revered female deities, goddesses of earth, fertility, birth, and cycles. The feminine principle was seen as life-giving and cyclical and nurturing, mirroring nature itself. And the power came from creation and balance and not domination. And communities often practiced matrilineal inheritance or held spiritual leadership through priestesses. The divine feminine represented integration, intuition with reason, emotion with form, and chaos with order. These cultures often agrarian, aligned with lunar and seasonal rhythms, a yin dominant balance with introspective and receptive and flowing energy. And the shift, the rise of the patriarchal empires, was roughly between 300 and 1000 BCE. And this power structure shifted dramatically with the rise of warfare, empire, property, and ownership. Examples are the Indo-European and Semitic invasions introduced sky gods, warrior gods, and patriarchal hierarchies. The divine began to be imagined as transcendent rather than immanent, a father god above creation rather than within it. The sacred feminine was either diminished, demonized, or domesticated. And then it was turned into and seen as chaotic, dangerous, or seductive. For example, Eve, Lilith, and Pandora. The social mirror followed suit, cyclical harmony to linear control. And humanity begins to see itself as separate from nature and not part of it. And the solar principle, like logic, power, and expansion, overtook the linear principle, which was intuition, emotion, and regeneration. And this polarized the collective psyche, dominance versus receptivity, and intellect versus intuition, and spirit versus body. And the result gave us a great technological and intellectual progress, but the cost of emotional and ecological and spiritual imbalance. And I think that that's where...
Well, you see, that would be normal, Yolanda. You know why? Because you're you're kind of like that spark that started the fire, right? You're the one who woke me up to my indoctrinated self when it comes to YouTube. So now the Snapster's freaking the fuck out, right? My lower ego is tripping because I'm kind of like keeping it at bay. Yeah, and I don't know why I'm using this particular accent, but hey, I mean, this is some sort of entertainment platform.
We're at right now as a whole. This shift also mirrors the human brain's internal dynamics. The left hemisphere, the analytic and sequential controlling part of the brain, became culturally dominant. And the right hemisphere, the intuitive, holistic, empathetic side, was devalued. And the suppression of the feminine within both men and women led to a collective neurosis, a disconnection from empathy, nature, and emotional intelligence. And philosophers like Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, I didn't realize that there was a term for it, but called neurotheologians. I like that. Neurotheologians.
Hey, that might just be what I am.
As a necessary imbalance in the human journey, in a descent into duality, so that integration could one day return. And I'm hoping that that's where we're at right now. I'm hoping that that's where this shift is going into. You like that?
Yeah.
Oh no, that was a good one, wasn't it?
Yep. That was very good.
Okay. So the rebalancing and return to this feminine principle, hopefully this may be where we're returning to. And this is where I think that people are losing their shit with the concept of New Age. Because what I've learned is that not all of these conversations that are being labeled as New Age are actually old age, and resurfacing and being integrated back into a space where we can all talk in mass amounts in this digital space, and it's reawakening and re-emerging itself.
What's up, Mr.
So if you've noticed, maybe there's a rising in this awareness of empathy and sustainability and emotional intelligence, and the healing of the masculine principle through that integration and not the opposition of it, and the recognition that divinity is not male or female, but a balance of both polarities.
Right.
Consciousness and compassion, reason and feeling. So we're going back to that, GT, to what you had said earlier, what you wrote earlier. So the shift from goddess to God marked the world's descent into that polarity, and the current era marks humanity's effort to reunite polarity into wholeness.
This is fire presentation, man. This is fucking really good.
Fire Drake says, disconnected, disassociated from the true nature of being human. Beautifully stated. Oh, see, Esther agree. Ooh, that's good. distracted, and disgruntled. And truthfully, I'm often made fun of for studying the brain online. I'm teased for this. And I'm not claiming to be an expert at it, but the brain is the seat of awareness and decision-making and discernment and understanding. It is essential to navigating any space, including online communities where manipulation, ego, and projection are rampant. So my curiosity is not arrogance. Speaking about what we notice, what we learn, and what helps us understand ourselves and others is not a threat. It's an invitation to clarity. And the mockery often reflects the discomfort with insight, not a failure of knowledge. I value awareness and learning, and the brain is not a toy. And understanding it is a tool for freedom and discernment in a chaotic world. And I wouldn't be surprised, truthfully, if this is why they are also putting drugs out there legally, is to mess up and muddy the waters of the brain so that we do not receive this awareness and insight. Throughout human history, every genuine path of awakening has described a moment of inner rebellion and breaking away from the conditioning and programming and this inherited illusion. And the language differs: sin, samsara, ignorance, ego, illusion, but the pattern is the same: liberating consciousness from unconscious control. In Christianity, renewing the mind, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, in Romans 12, chapter 2. And in early Christian mysticism, this wasn't about blind obedience, but mental transformation, freeing oneself from worldly conditioning of fear, pride, and greed to align with divine consciousness. And Jesus' teachings often confronted social and religious programming. It healed on the Sabbath, spoke to women publicly, and challenged temple hierarchies. His statement, "The kingdom of God is within you," is a direct call to inner sovereignty, not external obedience. In this light, Christ consciousness symbolizes the deprogramming the egoic mind through love, truth, and awareness. And in Buddhism, liberation from conditioning, or samskara, Buddha's core insight was that suffering, dukkha, arises from attachment, craving, and ignorance, all products of mental conditioning. The Eightfold Path is essentially a system of mental reprogramming right through right speech, right action, and right mindfulness. Meditation trains the mind to see patterns clearly instead of being ruled by them. And the awakened mind, Bodhi, is not one that believes more, but one that sees without distortion. So in other words, breaking the program is the essence of enlightenment. And in Hinduism, the illusion of Maya. In the Vedic and Upanishadic tradition, the human experience is shaped by Maya, the veil of illusion that hides the true self, Atman. The mind, Manas, and senses create false identifications, which is I am my thoughts, my role, and my pain. Spiritual practices, sadhana, seeks to dissolve this illusion, aligning awareness with Brahman, the eternal consciousness behind all appearances. Shiva, as the destroyer, represents the power to break the forms and to destroy the false so that truth can emerge. So breaking the program is symbolized by Shiva's dance, destruction as purification. And in Sufism, burning the false self, mystics like Rumi and Al-Ghazali spoke of the nafs, the ego self, as a cage of habits and false identity. The spiritual journey, let's see here if I can pronounce this correctly, Tarika, burns away layers of ego until only the pure heart, kolb, remains. Die before you die, Rumi says, meaning dismantle the false program before physical death. This is the Sufi mirror of psychological liberation, the death of the programmed self, and rebirth into conscious awareness. And in indigenous and mystical traditions, remembering the whole. Many earth-centered traditions never saw the mind as separate from nature. Forgetting who we are, losing harmony with the cycles of life, is the original wound. Ritual, story, and initiation return consciousness to wholeness, what modern psychology calls integration. Breaking the program here means remembering the rhythm of creation, the heartbeat of nature within. Trauma fragments the mind, creating survival programs. Healing reconnects awareness with the body and the present moment, and integration instead of dissociation. And so spiritually, this is the resurrection of consciousness. Psychologically, it's the reintegration of the self. Let's check this chat again. Let's see here. Fire Drake. Landry says he misses you. Let's see here. Fools and Tools says, display and confuse your mind so you're not focusing on your lane and your daily thing. They want you to program into what they're doing. She continues to say, it's always keep you busy looking outside yourself and not focusing for what's really important. That's how you split in your energy. GT says, what you think of the idea of the brain being kind of like an antenna and consciousness being a frequency that the brain, aka the antenna, picks up and connects to. You know, this image that I have for my avatar tonight and for my thumbnail, unfortunately you can't see the full thing, but that's exactly what it shows is the brain, and it has an antenna and the wiring. It's actually quite beautiful, and unfortunately you can't see the whole thing. But yes, the brain is the antenna. And God speaks to us through that antenna. So Fools and Tools says, watch your thoughts and your words and be kind to yourself. Even if the silent things you say in front of the mirror, your cells are listening. Yes, this is what I've been having streams on throughout the year, because I believe very strongly in self-talk, the things that you say outside of yourself and in your mind. Esra says, yes, Fools and Tools, your thoughts, emotions literally manipulate your cells. Yes. GT says, a Buddha or a Jesus may have experienced themselves as the frequency while the rest of us experience ourselves as the antenna. I actually think that that's what it is. I think that it is an energetic frequency that we receive. And that is what the modern day religion or teaching is, Christ consciousness. Fire Drake says, the antenna is the brain. Consciousness is how you attune and focus your antenna. Yes, we receive from these philosophies the tools to get this done. I've got a great chat tonight. This is such a great chat. I'm not used to having such great feedback like this. You know, I've had I still have a small chat this evening, but you guys are putting a lot of very powerful insights and feedback, and I'm glad that you're enjoying conversing with each other in here, because that's where my comfort space is in these
great
chats.
Information.
So I would have been all happy
great
in this
information.
chat too. Nice and cozy. So Esra says, think of those who are missing huge portions of their brains and being fully functional adults. So in a historical and structural sense, the Abrahamic religions, such as Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, are largely patriarchal systems, though the extent and expression differ across traditions and eras. So these historical origins, the Abrahamic religions arose in societies where male lineage, property, and leadership were prioritized. Sacred texts and religious laws often assign authority to men, whether as priests, prophets, or political leaders. And women are frequently portrayed in supporting or secondary roles, with some exceptions of revered figures like Mary or Fatima. So this structural patriarchy in Judaism, the priestly and religious hierarchy was male-dominant. Leadership roles in temples and synagogues were historically reserved for men. And in Christianity, early church structures gave authority to male bishops, priests, and theologians, and women were often restricted from preaching or teaching. And in Islam, religious leadership and scholars is traditionally male inheritance, and testimony laws, historically, they favor men. So these doctrinal patterns, the emphasis is on obedience, and the hierarchy and male authority reinforces these patriarchal norms. So women's roles are often framed in terms of submission and domestic life or moral guardianship rather than equal spiritual authority. Male figures, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad, are central examples of faith, while female figures are often symbolic of secondary. These systems valorize yang dominant qualities with logic, control, authority, and hierarchy, and the yin qualities, intuition, nurturing, receptivity, are often undervalued or constrained. And over centuries, this contributed to a cultural shift toward masculine polarity dominance, and this was reinforcing social and spiritual hierarchies. So the nuances is that many Abrahamic texts and traditions contain subtle affirmations of feminine wisdom, such as Sophia, Mary as the intercessor, and Eve as an archetype. And some modern movements within these religions seek to reclaim balance and promote gender equality. So Abrahamic religions reflect and reinforce patriarchal structures historically and socially. And they emphasize hierarchical authority with this male leadership and obedience, and often sidelighting feminine principles through spiritual insight and reinterpretation can reclaim the balance. So these energetic implications, the matriarchal systems often embody that yin dominant energy, back to this receptive, nurturing, cyclical, intuitive. So I think you guys kind of can see where I'm going with this. The matriarchal systems are not merely women in charge. Okay, let's get that clear. They are societies and cultures where feminine principles, which are intuition, nurturing, cyclical awareness, and community cohesion, shape governance and spirituality and social life. So these systems balance power differently than patriarchal systems and often integrate both masculine and feminine energies, valuing this collaboration and interconnectedness over dominance and hierarchy. So matriarchal systems are not merely women in charge. They're just based off of these principles that I just spoke upon. Now, some of these examples of these societies are the Iroquois Confederacy, women selected leaders, the Akan in Ghana, the Minoan Crete, ritual and social prominence of women, and many Pacific Island societies. Patriarchal example societies are ancient Rome, medieval Europe, Western colonial societies, modern Western nation states, and historically influenced by Judeo-Christian norms. So, as I was trying to research this, I couldn't help but notice a pattern. Historically, one of the driving forces behind the genocide and colonization of indigenous peoples has been this collision between patriarchal empires and the matriarchal or the egalitarian societies. Isn't that interesting? Colonizers often viewed these systems as primitive, chaotic, or threatening to control, particularly because matriarchal structures limited centralized authority that could be exploited or co-opted. The spiritual world view of indigenous peoples, emphasizing harmony with nature and intergenerational stewardship, directly challenged patriarchal hierarchies depending on exploitation, conquest, and resource extraction. And I experienced that online on a micro version.
Yeah.
Patriarchal empires prioritize territory and resource and labor, which often conflicted with indigenous ways of life. Matrilineal land ownership or communal resource stewardship could not be easily integrated into hierarchical property systems enforced by colonizers. Violence, forced conversion, and suppression of culture were methods to erase the social and spiritual systems that resisted patriarchal domination.
To answer that question, I haven't in a while, but I'll probably be starting to do kind of like Monday music on that channel or something like that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm thinking about making a schedule and have specific days for specific channels and stuff.
So my awareness has activated my prefrontal cortex, and it triggers dissonance in them. Their brains literally interpret my calm presence as a psychological threat. Their aggression is a primitive defense against the cognitive and emotional evolution of my conversations or my insights to them. So I'm not too much. I am precisely what systems of domination fear most: a woman aware of her mind, of her intuition, and of her boundaries. The resistance I face is a sign of the shift that I represent, from fear to awareness, and from hierarchy to dialogue, and from that ego to integration. And I don't need to fight or submit. I can simply stand as evidence that consciousness can speak for itself without me shouting. So back to Sophia. Sophia represents the archetype of conscious wisdom, integrating mind, heart, and intuition. She reminds humanity, especially in patriarchal or ego-driven spaces, that true power comes from awareness, discernment, and ethical presence, not that domination and force that they're portraying. Acting from awareness engages higher cognitive functions and not survival reflexes, and it's a skill and not a criticism. And I'm not being passive aggressive. I'm being calm, clear, and observant. I communicate directly, and again, I'm setting boundaries without escalating conflict. And my goal is the clarity and awareness, and not control or hidden in any type of hostility. So to break the program is to remember you were never the program. You are awareness itself, learning to reclaim the mind as a sacred instrument and not a prison. A lot of people are stuck in their mind, imprisoning themselves and suffering with their thoughts. Here's an observation. When a space becomes driven by pride or vengeance, which we've experienced together this week, the truth is drowned by all the noise that surrounds it. And I'm not here to battle anyone, but to remind us that the conversation loses its power when love and humility leave the room. We can disagree and still look at this.
Now you've inspired me to make another presentation, which I think I'll just follow up with after this.
Let's chat here. Fire Drake says, it's an art form and sometimes things must be torn down to be built back up in truth and faith. And start anew and have a phoenix rising, you know? Oh, fine lines. Let's see here. GT says, the unaware see the aware as a threat because the presence of the aware subconsciously remains the unaware that they are in fact unaware. Ignorance was bliss until they became aware of their ignorance. Okay, so that's the post that I did recently, okay, was speaking about this. And I left it there so that I could receive comments just like this, right? Because this is very insightful. And Snafu decided to come after a person in my chat for being in this state in her life right now. The unaware see the unaware as a threat because the presence of the aware subconsciously remains the unaware that they are in fact unaware. And that is Snafu Snaps right now. And the person he was speaking to is in the state of ignorant was bliss until they became aware of their ignorance. It was that simple. And what he had to say to her in my chat is absolute garbage and dominance over her. Stupid idiot. Okay. All right, where am I at here in my notes? I've had a lot to say tonight. I'm kind of surprised. Oh, I lost my where I was at here in my notes. Thank you for your patience, you guys.
I'll have to go brew myself another coffee, though. So just briefly, real quick, I'm actually going to say this is what my presentation is going to be about. The Masters of the Universe, the solar initiation. All right. So just back to Yolanda real quick. There we go.
My voice is enjoying the break as well. Right, Ezra. Oh my gosh, I'm so sick of these people. No, I'm not gonna. They can get with my program because I'm not with theirs. They can just fuck right off. Seriously. So with these online cult-like spaces, whether spiritual, political, or self-help in nature, often use these psychological mechanisms that directly target your limbic system, your emotional brain, okay? They don't argue with logic. They manipulate emotion and instinct. Each of these emotional hooks releases chemicals like adrenaline, dopamine, and cortisol, training your nervous systems to crave the highs of belonging and the lows of fear. It's a literal neural addiction to emotional stimulation and control. This is what Esther drops everywhere in people's chats. And when she joins the panels, this is exactly what she's talking about. This is what cult researchers call limbic imprinting. Do you know that one, Ezra? Limbic imprinting. What up, Alki? Haven't seen you in a long time, bro. Good to see you. Hope you're well. So this fragmentation happens when your critical mind, your prefrontal cortex, it's bypassed repeatedly through emotional overwhelm. So you begin to lose confidence in your own perception and you rely on the group or leaders' framing to make sense of the reality. In neuroscience terms, this is the rewiring of neural pathways through conditioning, what's often called neuro-linguistic programming or entertainment in cult psychology. This creates a feedback loop of dopamine and cortisol-like digital version of trauma bonding. Your body literally begins to associate chaos with connection. Right, Ezra? Prefrontal cortex shut down. Exactly. Survival mode. Epigenetics. So your instincts are trained to distrust yourself. This is the essence of fragmentation, the splitting of your natural intelligence from your emotional core. So to counter this manipulation, you must rebuild your inner architecture of discernment. Essentially, reconnecting your prefrontal cortex, your rational mind, with your limbic system, which is your emotional mind, okay? So in spiritual terms, cults attack Sophia's consciousness. your divine capacity to discern and to integrate. So they fragment the inner temple, replacing direct knowing, your gnosis, with their dogma and dependency. So the real spiritual path reintegrates your body, your mind, and your spirit. And this is restoring your sovereignty to the individual soul. The brain's limbic system reacts strongly to attention and perceived dominance. This is why online spaces feel hierarchical, even when they are mirror neurons and empathy circuits pick up on this pride and this aggression by the prefrontal cortex. So these reflections trigger reactive behavior. We fight, we defend, or we submit automatically. It all connects. I agree, Ezra. Fire Drake says, artificial intelligence by destroying the language and knowledge. Babble on. Hey man, you guys are so clever with your word judo in this chat today. I am impressed. So, the mind is the temple, right? Awareness of mind from Buddha, right? Awareness of mind, non-attachment, and mindfulness train the brain to see the patterns without reacting, strengthening the PFC pathways and weakening automatic fear revenge loops. So Jesus, warning against ritual without love mirrors, the modern brain's need to regulate emotional and social impulses. You transcend the limbic hijack of pride and vengeance by anchoring in purpose and moral clarity. So Shiva symbolizes the destruction of this illusion, Maya, right? Metaphorically pruning neural patterns dominated by ego and illusion. And so the Upanishads teach the recognition of Atman, self, as Brahman, which parallels neuroscience insight when the prefrontal cortex integrates with deeper network, self-awareness, and it expands beyond the ego, connecting to a sense of universal unity. It's treated like a personal trophy, right? A weapon of ego rather than a mirror of reality. People say, my truth, our truth, but what they often mean is my perspective, my experience, or my belief. In its purest form, truth isn't something we own, it's something we align with. Truth doesn't bend to opinion, emotion, or popularity. It's what remains when illusion, bias, and fear all fall away. And the moment truth becomes a brand, a tribe, or a tool for dominance, it's no longer truth. It's manipulation wearing a holy mask, okay? Real truth humbles the mind. It doesn't demand followers or applause. It invites awareness, dialogue, and honesty, and not obedience. So when people online claim to be truth tellers while silencing, shaming, or dividing others, remember, truth that controls isn't truth. It's insecurity dressed as enlightenment. The only truth worth following is the one that frees the mind, not the one that captures it. So truth is that which corresponds to reality, fact, or actuality. So something like that exists independently of personal belief, like water, H2O, okay? So verifiable, it can be observed, tested, or demonstrated. But outside hard science, the concept of truth becomes more nuanced. Spiritually, truth goes beyond factual correctness. It's not just what happened or what can be measured. It's about alignment with reality.
What's up, neutral ground?
And an unlimited ultimate principle. Ultimate principle. So your inner truth, knowing yourself authentically, recognizing your own fears, motives, and desires. Honestly, spiritual texts often equate truth with self-realization, Atman, Brahman, like in the Upanishads. Universal truth, principles that govern exist consciousness, like impermanence, cause and effect, interconnectedness. These truths are constant regardless of perception and are often what mystics point to. So the alignment with consciousness or divine reality, going beyond intellect or opinion. Jesus called it the truth that sets you free. Liberation from illusion, ego, and deception. And Buddha called it seeing the world as it is.
Sorry, I'm just typing something. So actually, I had to fix this shit because there's some mistakes, and the presentation that I was gonna make is still in the process of being made. So because there are some mistakes in it, and I just realized it. What's up, Red 40's in the house? Yeah, great reminder to all, Yolanda. I believe everyone knows this deep in their heart, but fail to realize it in real life. Of course, that is exactly the point, man. And this is the reason we need to change focus and stop creating division and hating on each other and shit, because it's just getting us nowhere. We need to fucking grow up. Literally. Like, you know, this isn't high school anymore, man. We're actually the future of this planet, country, whatever you want to call it. We are going to be the elders eventually, and we need to transmit this knowledge to the younger ones, and also be the example, right? Show the example, be the example. You know, instead of being like the opposite, right? You know, I don't want to be the negative example. I don't want to be the example that, okay, that's what not to be, right? That not a good idea, not at all. So, just let me get back to my thing here, which I actually clicked X on the tab, which I shouldn't have. I didn't think I was gonna have to go back. And let me go back. All right. Let's go back here. It doesn't take that long to make. Is that the one I was on? Yeah, I think so. There we go. Okay. For here. There. Go back over here. All right. All right, hold on a second. Damn it. OTW, make it quicker, man. Come on. Stop fooling around. All right. We got this. All right, there we go. Okay, go here. Boom. Stick that there. There we go. Let's try that. All right. I think we got it. I think we got it. Yeah, that's it. Generate. There we go. Okay. So I have to get rid of this one, actually. All of them. Boom. And this one, too. Move from studio. Put myself in the center screen, which is actually here. Okay. All right. Be the example and just went back to chat here for a minute. Be the example, and none of us are perfect, okay? We have moments of weakness, and the digital space is a good place to practice. I agree. You can make mistakes till the last step and then take another round after reflection. My triggers are seeing people not making changes, in my opinion, so that's a me problem, but it still plagues me. Well, you see, that's it. Because inside you, man, deep down, Red, you know the truth, right? But we all have that tendency to let our egos take over, man, right? And that's where we need to keep our egos in check and remind ourselves that we all have the ability to fail, right? But it's the communication, man, that makes the difference. It's us communicating with each other to actually, I believe, fucking end up realizing that there's something that we can do about it, right? You know, it's by communicating. We can change things. We really can change things, man. It's just about us choosing to either listen to each other, right, instead of arguing, you know, because I believe the point here is growth, right? And somebody else mentioned it earlier. I believe it was Sophia saying that, you know, she loves learning. So I guess it's important for us to just want to learn, right? Learn more about ourselves and what we're actually supposed to be doing in every given moment, not just online. I mean, it's like even in your life, you know, it's like, I think it's time to, you know, look at that the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror, man. Yeah. It's a lot about that. So let me see if my presentation is ready here. So yeah, it's coming along very good. Nice. Oh yeah, this is fucking awesome. Man, guys, you know what? I am really kind of like so happy AI exists, right? Because if you use it for what it's actually intended for, okay, and not let it control you, you can actually give it the exact parameters that you want it to have, right? When it comes to, like, let's say, and on top of which you can feed it algorithms and source material which corroborates itself, and the algorithm can give it its credibility because it what it does is it gives you a percentage of the accuracy of the allegorical connections, man. It's wild. It's wild. Let me see. All right, so this would be, there it is. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is sustaining cranial authority. So we have 10. Yeah. All right. So just download this. Yeah, that's good. Hey, and this one is like completely free, man. I'm like tripping my ass off here. This is like, it makes your life so much easier and time saving. It's the time saving, guys. That's what's wild about it. I think that's what's crazy about it. The time saving dynamics. All right. So now I can actually go get what I was looking in to present here. Upload the file. Okay, it's now uploading, so we'll have it briefly. Yeah, you got in a loop, Red. Just watch it. It happens to all of us. Yes, it does. And I was fucking stuck in it for a while there, a few months, man. Like, wow, that was wild, man. It was a freaking wild ride because I had kind of gotten rid of that shit at the beginning of the 2025. I was already on a path to fucking, being less fucking, I believe, judgmental and all of those. Fell right into the fucking loop, man. All over again. I don't even know how it happened. I don't even remember what was like the main thing about it, but it's turned into shit. I think it's peer pressure and influence, right? Yeah. And I never really wanted to be considered necessarily like a guru or something out here. Not my second time around. My first time around, I actually tried. I thought that's what was my purpose. I quickly found out that I wasn't doing it right. I wasn't being myself. I was kind of like trying to do the guru bit, and it wasn't working out for me. So I had to revise. And when I came back, I came back as me. I came back as as Patrick, not some sort of fake guru bullshit. Trying to share wisdom. It's like now I just want to present stuff. I want to, teach. Like, yeah, just want to teach. I'm kind of like a teacher. All right, so let's add this to the stages. Let's get me down here. Over here, let's get rid of this little thingy-majiggy. Like and share thing. All right, so the esoteric architecture of self. Okay, hopefully you guys can see the screen because I have my little thing that, to start this with. All right, so the Masters of the Universe, okay, an occult anatomy presentation. Slide 1, okay, title and core allegory. The title, The Esoteric Architecture of Self, Decoding Masters of the Universe as a Solar Initiation Myth, right? He-Man and the Masters of Universe. The core thesis, the Masters of Universe, the saga, is a modern Masonic esoteric initiation myth. It functions as a complete map of the human microcosm, where the struggle on Eternia, the body temple, is the internal process of alchemical transmutation necessary to transform the uninitiated ego, okay, Prince Adam, into a fully realized solar self, He-Man. This transformation is achieved by uniting the energy of the spine, the sword, with the consciousness, okay, the cranium, gray skull, okay, the key allegory systems activated. So in astrology, it would be more or less considered the sun and moon duality, the solar king motive. From a chakra system, the mapping of key structures to specific energy centers. And from an occult anatomy, detailed correlations of characters and objects to the human brain and nervous system. Now, the alchemy of that is the process of NIGHTBOT, chaos, right arrow, libido, illumination, right? And let me get to slide 2. Okay. The revised core axis, okay? Back to my thing. All right, so slide 2, Eternia, the microcosm of the alchemical vessel concept. The entire planet Eternia is the Athenor, okay? The sealed alchemical vessel in which the great work occurs. So detailed mapping of that would be Eternia, the vessel, Eternia as the microcosm of all of the universe and its inhabitants, including the planets. This directly invokes a hermetic principle of as above, so below, establishing the planet as a complete representation of man. Okay? So the color and chakra, the planet shines blue and green. This corresponds to the Anahata, heart, green, as Vihishadua, or Fidish, anyway, throat, blue, chakras. Okay? This suggests the heart, the center of balance, love, and the soul is primarily focus of the initiation, currently in the alchemical stage of albedo, purification and whitening before its final golden state. Okay? Final golden state. Where was I? Damn it. Actually lost where I was reading here. Golden state. Okay. So the eternal conflict, NIGHTBOT, is the never-ending war between good and evil, is the state of NIGHTBOT, the blackening, chaos, the necessary dissolution of the old, unpurified matter required before spiritual rebirth. It is the internal chaos that must be managed, right? And from astrotheology, the type 3 star in the ether is the cosmic solar principle and the Sahasrara crown chakra, okay? The ultimate source of light and the destination of ascending consciousness, okay? Let's go to slide 3. Go see comments. Right, by the power of Grayskull. Exactly, Red. Okay. Slide 3, Eternia. Okay. So let me get back to what I was talking about here. Okay. Castle Grayskull. Okay. The cranium and the seat of wisdom. Hold on. I think I might have mixed up the slides. I need to. Oh, here it is. Sorry, guys. Mixed up the slides. Okay, so Castle Grayskull, the cranium and the seat of wisdom. All right, the concept is Castle Grayskull is the protective cranium skull and the hidden domain of higher mind. All right, the skull face, the castle's most striking feature, the face of a skull on its portal, is the key to its mapping. In esoteric tradition, the skull represents the cave of the mysteries and the final tomb of initiation, mortificatio. Where the ego dies to be reborn in wisdom, the skull is literally the cranium protecting the brain. In Saturnian protection, okay, Grayskull maps to Saturn, the planetary principle of bone, structure, and limitation, acting as a gatekeeper of time and wisdom. The dark, forbidding exterior conceals the inner solar light and the halls of wisdom, pineal gland. Inside the hall, shone with the light of a million stars, holding the elders. Consecrated mind force, this is the pineal gland, often called the epiphysis cerebri, okay? the biological and spiritual. Third eye, Ajna chakra, responsible for higher vision and the seat of the soul. Okay, and the sorceress, pituitary, or the hypothalamus, as the protector of Grayskull, she maps to the hypothalamus and the pituitary gland, the master's glands that govern the brain's functions and guard the pineal's secrets. Okay. Now the sword of power. Let's get to that slide. Sword of power. Okay. Back to here. Okay, the sword of power, Kundalini, and the spinal axis. The concept is the sword of power is the instrument of transmutation, representing the Kundalini Shakti energy ascending through the spinal cord, chakra, and alchemical force. Spinal channel, Shunshami Nadi, the sword's vertical trajectory as and function as the key to transformation. Identify it as the Shushona Nadi, the central energy channel of the spine, which runs from the root to the crown chakra. Martian fire, Calcinitio, the sword gleamed with the soul of 1,000 fires. Fire is the domain of Mars and the alchemical stage of Calcintiasho. Okay, whatever. Refining by fire. This fire is too potent for the uninitiated. The excruciating anguish felt by man at arms, the metallic base matter, is the resistance of physical body to sudden flood of spiritual energy. Astrochemistry, all right, is the esoteric chemistry links the spine to the zodiacal salts. Okay, the sword forces the ascension of these bodily forces upward for spiritual use. Okay, all right, transformation and the command to the brain, which is, I believe, the staff, but I'm not sure. I might go back. Bodily Temple Foundation. That was Eternia. And there it is. All right. That's the right slide. Okay. So the transformation, the command and brain activation. The moment the transformation is successful, okay? Union of the spinal fire and the spoken word and the cranial wisdom. So it's the Trinity, okay? The threefold mantra activation, okay? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, okay? The word Mercury, the command by the power of Grayskull is mantra, and act of Mercury and Vishuddha, the throat chakra, the vibration of the word acts as a nervous system trigger. The command travels to the Broca's area, speech center, and is translated into a direct energy order that focuses the spinal fire, okay? To rise, causing the blaze from the sword shot upward, okay? The transmutation, this union of the spinal will and the cranial wisdom completes the transmutation, moving Adam, okay, into He-Man. The power is the physical realization of solar self, allowing the mind to impose its will on matter. Bend steel bars. Okay. Let me see. Let's go back. Right. So, is that the right one? Hold on a second. Let me go here. Brain's duality, He-Man and Skeletor. Yeah, this is it. All right. So, the brain's duality, He-Man versus Skeletor, the eternal war is a necessary neurological conflict between the rational and the primal self. He-Man, the prefrontal cortex, acts as He-Man embodies virtue, law, and will, which are the functions of the PFC. The PFC is the rational, moralizing, executive part of the brain that asserts governance over base instincts. He-Man's mission is to ensure virtue reigns supreme. The PFC reigning, okay, supreme over the lower brain. Skeletor, however, is the amygdala, limbic system. Skeletor is the shadow archetype and the unrefined based instincts of aggression, fear, and ego-driven cruelty. These map to the amygdala, the emotional core of the limbic system. His intelligence is a corrupted ajna, the third eye, a corrupted third eye. Okay, focus purely on self-gain and destruction. Okay, so the conflict, the battle is the ongoing process of conscious will, He-Man, PFC, subjugating and integrating the primal, chaotic drive, Skeletor, amygdala, preventing them from hijacking the Hall of Wisdom, the Halls of Amenti, right? Which is the pineal gland. Okay. Slide 7, Prince Adam. Let's get there. Slide 7, Prince Adam. Sporting cast, uniform, type of that. Prince Adam. Here we are. All right. So Prince Adam, the uninitiated ego and potential, right? Prince Adam represents the state of potential and the necessary immaturity of the uninitiated ego. Well, the psychological and alchemical state of it is the unformed self, Moon and Venus, or Moon/Venus. Okay, Adam's light-hearted, unaware nature maps to the Moon, unconsciousness, anima, and Venus, youth and beauty, or youth/beauty. He is in the alchemical stage of solutio, the original substance that must be dissolved before the great work begins. So the hidden heart, as the as the heir to all Eternia's wisdom, he holds the innate goodness within his heart, okay, and thymus gland, okay, innocence. All right, that's good. His transformation is a deliberate act showing that divinity is latent and requires conscious effort. So, Judgian interpretation, all right? Oh, well. Or Judean interpretation, whatever. Like, these words are interesting. Adam is the ego, preparing to merge with the self, He-Man, a process that requires accepting the hidden wisdom, Grayskull, and deploying the assertive will of God, which is the sword. Okay. So let me get back to my presentation. Master of the microcosm. Let's go back here. Right. So the power of the word and astrotheology, the concept, the narratives utilize classic astrotheological motives to elevate the action to a cosmic spiritual level. So astrotheological parallels like the Solar King motive, He-Man, solar self, fits to banish the darkness, Skeletor. This parallels the story to the sun and righteousness rising, which healing his wings to tread down the wicked. He-Man is the embodiment of the victorious solar deity who restores cosmic order. Jupiter / Leo sovereignty, the palace of Eternia rising from the fertile southern plains, is the seat of Jupiterian king. And Leo rulership, establishing benevolent sovereignty and divine law on earth. And the word, which is logos. The power of the mantra connects to the ancient Gnostic concept of the logos, right? Or the holy stream of sound, which the body is built to hear, use, and reach the endless kingdom of the Heavenly Father. Okay. Roles and supporting cast, okay, which I think I should bring it back to my to the beginning. Is that it? No, I did that one. All right, I think I'm lost here. Back to this one, is it? Right, here it is. Okay. So, the role of the supporting cast, concept. Supporting characters represent specific aspects and functions necessary to maintain the body temple. All right, so here the character functions, anatomy, and chakras. So, man-at-arms, okay, which is one of the characters in the show. Somatic system, okay, represents applied science, logic, and motor function. He maps to the cerebellum and the somatic nervous system, the system governing learned physical skills, right? He manages the body mechanics, but cannot touch the raw spiritual power, which is the sword. Beast man, which represented primal instinct, all right? The pure expression of untamed animalistic chaos. So he maps to the lower sacral and root chakras, okay? The domain of primal, lustful, and aggressive instincts easily manipulated by Skeletor, okay? Then we have Infinita, the shadow world, the dark, opposing planet is the unconscious shadow of Eternia. The self, it is the repository of all repressed fears and cruelties that the ego must face, ruled by the corrupt Saturnian plutonium forces of death and decay. All right. So we're at our final slide. Oh, this was the final slide. All right, so we're back to the final slide again. I was going to have to get my slides in order. I think I had mixed them up. I don't know why. All right, so the conclusion and the final command, right? Okay, so the never-ending war, okay, sustaining the solar self. So the Masters of the Universe is a practical initiation manual. It shows that true power is not external, but achieved through the conjunction of spinal fire, which is Mars / the sword, and the cranial wisdom, Saturn / Grayskull. Okay, the final command, He-Man's ongoing struggle, is the spiritual imperative. The prefrontal cortex, virtue, must remain constantly vigilant, asserting its authority over the limbic system, which is chaos / Skeletor, to maintain the state of the living God. The allegorical call, which stipulates that the narrative asks the viewer to stop viewing the conflict as external and recognize the war is taking place inside the self, demanding an active conscious transformation. Okay? So the final question here is, how does the transformation's reliance on a mantra, the word, inform our understanding of sound and vibration in esoteric practice? Which brings it all back to manifesting and speaking the word positively when it comes to manifesting shit for yourself in your life, right? So that was the end of the presentation. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It was pretty quick, kind of quick. It wasn't that long, which I think is not bad. It would have been better if I didn't mix up my slides. But hey, I'll get better at it over time. Right. Symbolism is the language of the subconscious. Okay. And when used consciously, symbols act like keys that unlock non-linear knowing, the kind of understanding that feels remembered, not learned. Right. Exactly. That's absolutely true. If you have a narrowing of the spinal column, do you think that has an effect on your conscious? There might be some sort of like something happens, you break your back or something, or you sever and you become like paraplegic or quadriplegic. I don't know if at that moment that has an impact or not. I wouldn't know. And speaking of which, I think I need to eat something. I'll be right back. Yeah. I eat a piece of bread real quick. Smoke the good stuff. You can feel it intensely and watch. Check out an interview with Asho. It's called The Rare 1985 Interview of Osho and Vishrant. I got his name wrong earlier. It's not Prashnat. Okay. Yeah, I really need to eat something. Woo. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh. I hadn't eaten breakfast yet. But we're okay. It's past noon. So last time I ate it's noon now. At midnight it was 12 hours. So I was like I did a 16-hour fast. So the hunger pains just kicked in. Yeah. That was a great presentation, Yolanda. And hope you guys enjoyed the one that I just did. I was thinking of starting to make some videos doing presentations like that, but I'm going to wait till I get better at it. And just practice them, on the live streams. And then I'll start making pre-recording them. Yeah. Yeah, well, you guys want, we can chop it up. All you have to do is say something in chat, right? Excusez-moi. You're still here? That's good to know. At least you're here, Red. That's all right. I only had Yolanda's presentation today, and while we were watching her presentation, kind of inspired me to do the mine afterwards. But I got nothing else. Not really planning on going to review anybody either. So it's pretty much it for today. Hopefully, I'll be back tomorrow with something better. Well, not something better, but I'm gonna have to think about something. We need some new content up here. Well, I guess we can do a musical break. I did do. Yeah, I got an idea here. I did do a new video with Moose's footage. Right. That's not what I wanted to do. Just want to share a screen. Go to Rebelverse Truth Bars, which is a another channel that I've came up with. I made some videos. Here's the latest one. I actually, Red, have you seen this? Has anybody seen this? Red, you're still here. You said, have you seen the video that I did with Snow? All right, so this is my channel here. We got 4 videos now uploaded onto this channel. It's the AI music video channel. It's called Rebelverse Truth Bars. And I took Moose's video that he made, and I did a video clip with his footage of Snow and added the song that I wrote 15 years ago in French that I translated into English, and then had AI make a song out of that, which turned out to be a fucking awesome song, man. Almost better than the French version. Actually, it is better than the French version. So, there we go. I'll drop the link to this channel in chat. Did you get that link? Just to make sure, yeah? All right, good. That's the link to the channel, and here, I'm going to play the video. Check it out. Okay. Just checking to see, is it? Yeah, it's in full HD. I'm gonna let it buff a little bit, so we don't want it cutting in the middle of the song, right? That was a bad move. Okay. All right. Here he goes. I hope it's buffed enough. I doubt it.
She rang the bell, came through the door. My weakness flames me to the core. Caught in fire, I can't resist. Her touch, her eyes, I'm in the mist. Crazy how I crave her night and day. Crazy how she takes my pain away. Dressed in shadows, just a tease. I want her now, come bring me to my knees. She's my poison, my desire. Every touch lights up the fire. When I kiss her, when I take her in, I lose myself in all my sin. You are my weakness, can't let go. You touch me, shake me, steal my soul. You are my fire, my dark delight. I chase you through the endless night. My weakness, my pleasure, my burden sin. Pull me closer, let the high begin. I'm addicted, lost in your embrace. Every moment I fall from grace. All night long I crave your flame. A girl like you I can't tame. Looking at you in your darkened room, I feel the rush, I feel the bloom. Tigress eyes full of promise and tease. You bring me down, make me freeze. Every glance, a shot of bliss. I'm addicted to your fire, to your kiss. She's my poison, my desire. Every touch lights up the fire. When I kiss her, when I take her in, I lose myself in all my sin. You are my weakness, can't let go. You touch me, shake me, steal my soul. You are my fire, my dark delight. I chase you through the endless night. My weakness, my pleasure, my burning sin. Pull me closer, let the high begin. I'm addicted, lost in your embrace. Every moment I fall from grace. I can't resist, I can't escape. Every touch, every taste, it shapes the fever inside, the craving deep. I'm yours to have, mine to keep. Whispers of fire, shadows collide. Every heartbeat I can't hide. Take me further, pull me down. My weakness rules, I'll never drown. You are my weakness, can't let go. You touch me, shake me, steal my soul. You are my fire, my dark delight. I chase you through the endless night.
All right, there you have it. My weakness. What are your thoughts, folks? I don't know. I think I just made his clip a lot better, in my opinion. You could always go watch Moose's clip. You guys can decide for yourselves. Let me go see Moose. Moose. Moose de moose. Oh. I thought I just passed it. Nope. What is it? I'm not sub to Moose's channel or something? Yeah, well, to each his own, man. I'm not very judgmental to it, but I figured it was a funny coincidence that he had made an AI video of snow. So, and I figured like, yeah, that's like that would fit with the song, really. But you know what the song's actually about, guys? It's about drugs. So if you listen to the words very carefully, it's the allegory, because I put allegories in my music, man. And the weakness, the temptation is not actually a woman, right? The woman is actually representing the drug. That's the whole storyline behind it, right? That's it. That's what they did with scriptures and everything. They used allegory to tell another story. Yeah, that's what it's for. Yeah, thanks, Yolanda. That's really cool. Let me see. Let me get rid of this, remove that, and yeah. I guess that'll be it for today, guys. I mean, we've been here for 3.5 hours almost, and pretty much went through all the material. Presented to you guys the new AI video, which I have to give props to Moose for the footage, and give props to myself for the editing and the better song. You know, well, in my opinion, you know, that's relative, because music is you know, it's like you can't. I like blues, you know, I like that kind of style, right? So it's like, it's not, maybe that, you know, some people might not enjoy that type of music. So I guess it's relative. But yeah. So that being said, guys, I'm going to head on out of here, right? And we'll see each other again tomorrow. Okay? So, I mean, I guess this is where I do my bit, right? Where I say, this is OTW. Signing out for today, coming at ya from the belly of the beast. Peace.